Hey guys, looking at everyone's work today, some people did a really great job. For some people, I can tell you kind of had no idea what was going on. And for others, it's really tough for me to tell if you use Desmos just to kind of generate a graph or if you used it to find all your answers. So I just wanted to run through this. One thing that can be helpful is to start by just writing down what your variables represent or what these numbers are going to be. So for A, I'm going to write down that it's -1 since I have that negative coefficient. And since A is negative, I know my parabola is going to be like a frowny. It's going to be downward facing. B is -6 and C is -10. So that's kind of an extra step, but I find it helpful when I go over to start evaluating for my axis of symmetry. X equals the opposite of B over 2A. I'm going to write down that X equals the opposite of, and I'm just going to write it down like this, and I'll fill in the blanks. B up in my numerator was -6. A was -1. So now if I go piece by piece, I'm just going to focus on this. -6 over -2. It's going to be the opposite of 3. So my axis of symmetry is at x equals -3. If I go over here, x equals -3, this is kind of an imaginary line. It's not actually a feature of my graph, but I know that from here, my graph is going to be symmetrical. So no matter how it ends up looking exactly, I know it's going to be a symmetrical parabola. From there, I need to start figuring out exactly where on this line my vertex is. Since it's negative, I already know I'm going to have a maximum. I'm going to plug this -3 into my equation. So again, this is another place we have to really carefully deal with negatives. I'm going to write down that y equals the opposite of -3 squared minus 6 times -3 minus 10. From there, I know that -3 squared is going to be +9, and then I take the opposite, getting -9. So really carefully paying attention to order of operations. For the next piece of my equation, -6 times -3, that's a positive or +18 minus 10. I'm going to mentally regroup that -9 and -10. -19 plus 18, y equals -1. So my vertex is at -3, -1, and I can plot that point. -3, -1, that's my vertex. I know it's going to look something like this, so all I need to do is find one more point. I could plug in 0 or something that seems easy. I could plug in -1. I could plug in -4. I'm going to plug in anything, and if I can find a point. So I know that if I plug in 0, let's say it would be at -10, so I'm going to go a little bit off the graph. If 0, -10 was 3 units away, I'm going to go across that axis of symmetry 3 units, and I have a general picture of what that parabola is going to look like using the feature of symmetry.